But then so we've arrived, and it's for self. That's that self-love in the earlier podcast we did.
And people pick that up.
They do.
Yeah.
They can see your confidence.
Absolutely.
You know, when you walk into a room,
Absolutely.
that energy comes and follows.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Dee Dee, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I agree with her. I mean, self-love is, to me, the most important thing. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? Or how can you be emotionally attached to anyone outwardly if you're not emotionally attached inwardly?
Yeah. I think that's certainly the encouragement. All LSH is all about female empowerment, and when we have these discussions, it's about how do I get to my better self? How do I unleash the baddie within? And when you get to a place where you can brush your own teeth, and you're like, damn. Or when you feel good about walking out down the stairs and out the door, it really doesn't matter what he or she or anybody else says. It's all about self.
Because it definitely starts as soon as you hit the floor. For me, even the way I step when I come out the bed, it's all about the impact I'm having within myself, my spirit, my vibe, my everything. It's catapulting me to where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And I got to feel it, you know, and I have to feel me, because once we start encountering other people, they're going to encounter whatever your confidence is. They're going to believe it. You got to sell yourself all day to some extent. So I think it's just important for women especially to be as pure to yourself so you can govern that space and that place, because you get that many minutes with you. So you need to, whatever you are, if you're a mother, woman, or I've been a mother, woman, or a sister to sister. For me, I'm working in an environment where there's a lot of men all the time. And one of the ways that I control them, and I'm being very honest, is by having my very real self out front.
Yeah.
So when I speak to them, I don't have to get loud, or I don't have to, because I know what I'm wearing.
You're good. I'm
just being honest.
No, I love it. That's
okay,
the power.
then you don't get what I say. Okay, let me turn around and come on back one more time.
Yeah.
I mean, women, when we embrace our real power,
absolutely,
then all these things are possible, and it doesn't make you whorish. It doesn't make you loose. It makes you understand the feminine power.
That's amazing. If you can walk into a room and it has nothing to do with your nudity, let me say that, or the parts that you show, right? And then you still bring and exude that power.
Right.
Yeah, that's the pinnacle. That's what we want as women. And a lot of our younger generations, they don't get it. But I don't know if we got it at
I was going to say,
I think it's just
natural. Right. I mean, you know, you have to develop to that.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta go through some
or
stuff.
Or you can have a role model who's that way, who can empower you. My mother empowered me.
Yeah.
When I'm with my mother and with my daughters or my, sisters, it's an empowerment. It happens in that moment. And we all walk away a little taller, a little bit more of what we are.
But that's when you're in that circle, right? Not a lot of our younger generation females are in that circle. Yeah. And if they're watching reality TV, if they're watching other external factors that are not as empowering or uplifting or motivating, then they all fucked up, and their thoughts are very different. Right. They're not going to get to where you are, Ginger, unless they are tuning into the powers that we really possess.
Yeah, and it's about knowing and understanding why my lips look the way they are. What is it that I'm exuding in that moment, what my hair means.
But you're tapped into your power.
Yeah.
Exactly. How many of us are tapped into our power as a woman?
I think I'm getting there. I know I can say I'm getting there personally.
Getting there. So it's a process.
And I think you have to how you define power.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I don't know if I define power the same way that you define power. That I'm about to say the wrong.
Peaches.
Yes, Jesus, peaches defines power. I might define. Like for me, power is not this. When I think of power, I don't think of this. I think of power more when you're talking about being subtle, the confidence, the I don't have to explain. It's just there. And I don't have to. Say I went through this and I'm power. It's like no. And I know the stuff I've gone through, but it doesn't have to be so broadcast. I just need to, I don't know.
You don't have to be so loud.
Yeah, I don't have to be. I feel like sometimes people, when they think of being powerful or I'm in my skin or I'm what means loud and boisterous, and for some people that might be the case. But
thrusting.
Right. But I don't think that we. I think we have to be careful not to teach our younger generation of women that power means always this. Power can also be in another kind of way. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I think just to kind of piggyback on that, you talked a little bit about the younger generation, and I think that we have to show them.
Yeah.
And you have to be that example. I mean, I don't always want to be an example. I want to act a fool. I want to cuss people out. And my friend Jerby knows I go there. I go there less as I mature, but I go there. But it's about showing them how to tap into their power and how to be the person or how to become the person they want to become based on what they see in you and, you know, in all of us.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important that we show that to them, because a lot of them don't have any way of knowing.
They don't.
Right.
Well, they see,
So-
it's hard when you're in television and you see every show, they're fighting it out.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody
Yeah.
fights it out, physically fights it out.
Sexy as hell fighting it out.
Right, they look good. They got on heels. They slinging hair.
These are not the kind of fights that you expected to see. This is not street fight. This is called I'm sexy fighting.
I'm fighting. I'm choosing to fight. See, I grew up in the era where I grew up in New York, and listen, they would taking off the shoes, putting on the Vaseline, taking off the earrings, we're about to go, right? So it's a different kind of fight, but they do still pick up on it. Let's fight it out. There's not a whole lot of power in that. I learned recently, and I was an outwardly verbal fighter, and then I learned when you possess that power, like I know that there are certain powers that I have that lie within, and I know at any point I could, not literally, but push a button, I could say this, or I could do this, and it'll shut everything down. Knowing that still gives me this power within, and I operate so much differently. I'm smiling more. It's this inward laugh, or it's something that's happening, and I feel that. So I am a little bit more subtle with my power. I used to want to, I would want it to be big, and I want it to be expressive, and I want it to be explosive. But as I mature in age, I realize that it doesn't have to be. That you gain more when you know that you don't push that. I mean, I don't know. I get some sort of excitement knowing that I can.
That you can do it, but you don't.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Like peace. I feel peaceful.
Yeah, it is a sense of peace.
It's a peacefulness that I don't have to go off on you. I'm just gonna say
because I know I can.
And then I'm letting it go. And then what you do is on you.
I think that comes with wisdom too, because I often say that wisdom is power. Just being, wise enough to know how to react to certain situations. That is a powerful thing. So when you mention the subtlety of your power and how you like to use it, I would have to say I'm more like that too. So I agree with you all in that way. And I also agree with how you express, your power and how you walk into a room full of men of power, and you bring your ultra feminine person and self in that, and you can still, bring what you bring to the table, and they respect, and they can, they respect that. So for myself, I have to say that, like, overall wisdom really is the power of self. It really is. And as we mature and we learn and go through things, like when you go through so much, you don't have to share every bit of your story to be the example of that. You just...
Some of that is visible.
And for me, it's important for me to give back to the younger women. And so when my daughter brings her friends by, or if I'm in a situation where I can just fill you out, see where your head is, and just kind of get you to think on a different level. It's like you don't have to think like that. You don't have to do those things. Sometimes it's better to be the bigger person. So I do take advantage of those opportunities when I have the young ladies in front of me, even young men.
They need to hear
it
too.
They definitely. You definitely have to be this in front of young men, because there's also a large number of young men that I interact with as well every day. And so when I see them, I try to make sure that trajectory is what they yearn for, not just learn, but yearn for. So then they'll make choices in women who speak a certain way, girls who are of a certain type of feminine. And for women, for the young girls who are around me as well, it's just important that example is so clear that yes, I can be articulate, and I can tell people what to do, but I can ask them better.
It is being that example. Because if they're so used to a certain type. It's like if every day I'm just used to waking up to grapes, I don't know any other fruit, I don't know anything else that's out there, that's all I'm going to want, right? Right. But if all of a sudden you expose me to some cherries and some strawberries, and some blackberries,
right,
you know, and you start to broaden it. And I think that a lot of times, particularly certain women of a certain class, and sometimes a social class, they feel like that's the forgotten generation. Or no, I don't need to teach them anything. They know everything. And I don't think you should ever stop. We can never stop teaching, because I think that's important. If we disappear, then how will they learn the subtleties of power?
Right.
Or,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And we become realigned with our daughters, because my daughters taught me how to realign myself, resetting my clock to my feminine self when I get to that place where I'm so overpowered by work and production that I forget the little nuances that make me whole as a woman. I can look to them and go, oh, and then next time I do my lotion on my legs, I might rub it a little different if I've seen my daughter do what my older sister taught me. And I'm reflecting in both areas, right? And I remember my older sister, she used to sneak out the house, but before she would sneak out, she'd jump in the shower. And every time she put the suds over her, I would go, I'm going to wash up like that one day. And she was like... I'm being honest. No, my daughter put her lotion on one day. She was like,
right.
I was like,
well, it reminds me. I have boys. I have boys, so I'm not. You know, it's been interesting because I grew up with. I have one sister and then my mom and my dad, but my mom, my sister, and I are very, very tight. And so I grew up watching my sister too, but I have boys. And so I'm the only girl now in my house. And so it's so jarring all the time. But it has taught me, like you were talking about, being an example to boys too. And, you know, really trying to show them when you're looking for, and I ask my older boy now, like, what do you like about a girl? I mean, because he's starting to like girls and stuff. What do you think you want in a girl? And, you know, he's saying, you know, I'm smart and it'd be good if she likes basketball. And, you know, these things. But he's never said, I said, so you don't care what she, like, looks like? Or, and he's like, no, I mean, tall maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, that's not something he sat down and tried to figure out how to articulate. Which I'm like, okay, good. We're, you know, something right is going on here. But I was thinking, when you were talking about rubber and all this, I remember when I saw Sparkle.
Yes,
Sparkle.
Great example.
And I wanted, you know, and I was like, and me and my sister, we would try to do the dances and just watching how beauty and, you know, and how exactly, and how you can exude yourself, but how it can be seen in a more shy way, in a more overt way. And I mean, it just reminded me of that, because I was the same way with my sister. I would watch her, everything she'd do, and I'd be like, okay, that's, you know, and my mom, the way she put on her makeup, and I'm like, okay, you know, I just really honored them, and it's been kind of weird. I don't have that to pass on now, you know, because I don't have girls. And so I feel sometimes very lost. So I feel like the way I thought of sexy has had to change just by having boys and being around men all the time. You know?
Because I think what Ginger's saying is important. And I have a son and I have a daughter. But just thinking about it, I had the same conversation with my son. What kind of girl? But I took it a step further, and I told him what kind of girl he should look for. Because someone who is more mature than I, and they have children who are older, said, you got to tell your sons. If you got to tell them what type of woman, so they can start to think about it. So you want a smart girl. I talked to him about the prom already. Do not take a girl to the prom who's no fun. This is your prom. You want to have a great time. Even if it's somebody you just have a great time with. She's not somebody you like. You want to remember this as having an amazing time. And so if you find that you get a girl who's hogging up all your time, she's smothering you, you got to think about that differently. Because with boys, they don't think about it the same way. And if they're watching your sexiness, they're watching. Right? If you take time to take care of yourself, and you take time to what you're putting on, what you look like, you're going to be that example for the kind of woman that they're going to seek.
That's the hope.
Absolutely.
That's the goal.
But that's what you think until they come home with it.
Exactly. That's what I'm like,
you're confronted with that image of what they think you are, and you go, that's not me.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute. I didn't tell you. But that's why I said this friend, her son is way grown and adult now, but at the time he was like a young professional. He was in his 20s, and she said, no, I told him I told him the kind of woman to look for, the type of woman you want to make sure you have in your presence. It's not to say that he didn't try all kinds, but he still hears mom in his ear, and he knows what kind to bring home. Because I really, honestly, I don't want all the bullshit. Do not bring every girl that you like to the house. I don't need to see. I don't need to meet every girl.
That's right.
I don't need to interact.